By the names of Namugga. I'm a businesswoman, though an accountant by profession, but I'm doing business at the moment. I'm also Benji's mother, Ssempala Benjamin's mother. So I'm so happy to be here, to be part of this. Yeah, and it's a great experience. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
The place I called home was really home, and that's where we grew up from, of course. That's where we started realizing ourselves. Uh, it was a belonging that you felt like that's where you belong, that's where your mom is, your dad and your siblings. So it was a great attachment. Somehow, nobody would explain to you why you have to belong there, but you realize that this is where you belong, and all other people had other belongings where they called home. So that's where we grew up. Our home had routines, like if it was holiday, we'd wake up to do housework, would wake up early morning to greet mommy and daddy, then start doing house chores, like digging in the village, digging in the garden. Then as a girl, most of the time I was the only girl at home, so I had to do most of the work at home, like from digging. I would come home, I had to wash dishes, I had to sweep the compound, I had to sweep the house, because it wasn't cement, it was soil, so we had to sweep the house, wash the clothes, and then cook the food. So as a girl at home, I thought that is the way it's supposed to be, and the boys would only go and fetch water probably. And our dad also would go and look, he was a politician, so he'd go and have meetings with other community people. And my mom was always home with us, doing everything together. So that was home. I remember very well that we spent most of the time together doing work. Not I don't remember anything like being on phone because even phones were not there. My mom didn't have a phone. Even my dad at that time, in the early days, didn't have a phone. So we would just be home and communicate. Of course, there were games. We used to play games as children. Other children would come, but mostly in the afternoons, they would join and we play games. Yeah, we play childhood games like sonko, where we could draw boxes and skip them, building houses in them. We would play ball dodging, that is kwepena. We would play hide and seek. We would play kakebe. Mostly those were the games, and maybe football. Yeah, but mostly football was for the boys. It was regarded as a game for boys, so the girls were not joining the football, but the boys could join football. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, very, very different. These days, most children these days play indoor games. And when it comes to indoor games now, of recent, it's mostly phone games. People are always on their phones playing games. People are always on their tabs. It either has to be a phone or a tab or a TV. Somebody's watching the whole day. They rarely go out to play the games we used to play.
Yeah.
And maybe they can add it up with football. Some of them can go and play football or netball.
Yeah.
But children these days don't play those games. Even ourselves, when you want your children to play, you would just take them to a recreation center, probably, not this home gathering and people play together. Yeah. So you want them to maybe have fun, you would just take them to a recreation center, they meet other people there, other friends there, and they swim and play those games.
Yeah.
trampoline jumping. These are very different games from the games we used to have. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember anywhere having bouncing castles. Yeah, those are new games, completely new games, yeah. Of course, I would want them to play the games we used to play because I think they were so interesting and very creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting and very creative and energy consuming. Because when you're seated in one place the whole day on phone, eh, that's why these days you're finding children becoming big and they're doing less exercise. The games we used to do were so much energy consuming that you'd spend the whole day sweating. By the time it's evening, you're very tired. There is no way you cannot go to sleep at 8 because you're very tired. Secondly, you've done a lot of exercise. So even if it was about exercise, you used to do a lot of exercise and a lot of interacting with the neighbors. Yeah, those are the advantages. These days you can find a child in the house alone the whole day, the whole week. But when they have neighbors, when they meet the neighbors, they'll just say hello. After all, they're comfortable in their houses with their games on phone. So they were very interactive, that you would grow up in the village being friends, making friends and knowing each other. You get it, eh? So the games were, I would love my kids to play those games, yeah. Storytelling was a must
Yeah.
because mostly, yes, in the morning it was doing housework, and when you complete doing housework, and the evening after bathing, especially at 5, because at our childhood telling, every 5 to 6, now the day would be closed. That was the close of the day. When it comes to 5 to 6, it was the close of the day. And everybody was expected to shower and enter the house. When it comes to 6, it's already dark. Where I grew up from, there was no electricity, so by the time it comes to 6, 7-ish, it was coming to dark. So now you'd be seated in the house, and since there was no TV, there was no phone, the next thing would be your grandmother or your father or your mother sitting down with you, and you tell each other stories. And even when the parents are away, we would carry it on. We would sit as children and start telling ourselves stories. We had some games we would play in form of stories, like what do they call ebikocho. I don't know whether you people know about that. About udukocha. You would come and say, I don't know how they call them in English, but you would say a word saying koi koi, koi koi. Then another person would say lia. Then another one, then maybe you would go on and say nina mchala wange aluke mikeka mingi naye atula wansi. Then all of you would start looking around for the answer. And then another person would come and say, pumpkin, that is ensuju. And then you say, yeah, you've got it right. Now, any other person ready with a question would also come up with something. Eh? Say, koi, 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 koi. Others would say, yeah. Then you would also pose a question. And another person would reply. And as time goes on, of course, as other people sleep off, they go to bed, they get tired and doze off, and that will be the end of the day. That's how we would end our days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in case you're not children alone, the grandmother would come and start telling you stories, would come and telling you engeros, would come and talk about culture, so many things. So evening time was always a time for sharing as family, and it was too much culture. Yeah, that was the time when the parents and the grandparents would share culture with you. Yeah, the things they think that you should learn. In those stories that we were told from our grandparents, most of them were cautions. Most of them were cautions. Most of them were teachings. They would teach you so many things, character, through those stories. Yeah, they would refresh your memories through those stories. They would trigger your thinking through those stories. Like I told you when they say koi koi. So if somebody poses a question, then you take time to think about the answer, thereby triggering your thinking. Yeah, so it would sharpen you. Besides culture, it would make you a sharp person. It would make you knowledgeable of these things. It would teach you the world. When they don't want you to do a certain thing, they would pass it through a story. You get it? And then for you, you would think it is real. Yet they are cautioning you about something that you're not supposed to do. Yeah, so I think there's a lot to learn. So many things shock me. We actually call today culture Western culture. We think it's a foreign a foreign style of living that we've adopted and left our culture behind. Yeah. For example, if I would bring out something, when I was growing up, we had chairs in the house, but it was only the dad to sit in the chair. Me and my siblings, we always had to sit down. And it was a kind of respect that we used to give the dad. He used to even have his special chair. They would call it Mwami Akoye. So that chair, the only way you could touch it is when you're cleaning it. It was only for daddy. So when he comes, he sits in his chair, then you kneel down and greet him. It was kind of probably teaching you that this is the head of the family and you're supposed to respect that person. But these days, like we are seated here, everybody will see each other equal. You get it, eh? Even the dad can go to the toilet and another person comes and takes up his seat. You get it, eh? Some young children can even come and pull out daddy. Eh? Get out of my seat, get out, me I was seated here, you know, because they don't have the other upbringing. So I think today's culture somehow misses out on child upbringing, especially when it comes to respect. And then the other thing, like I said, interaction. Yeah, if we stay indoors on our phones and on TV, we miss out interacting with other people outside our families, outside our homes. And sometimes you may grow up on the village, same children, but when you're not even friends. Yeah, yet you need each other in one way or the other. When it comes to adulthood life, you need connections, and you may realize that a child you grow up as your neighbor is not even your friend. He gets a job somewhere, you're supposed to connect with them, and probably also you connect, but you cannot because you people are not friends. You rarely played with each other. So we miss out on interaction, we miss out on sharing, we miss out on community living. These days, all families are on their own. Yeah, yet those days, it would be a community. If you fell down and broke your head, broke your leg, you would easily run to the neighbor and say, I've broken my leg. But now you can even find a child falling down, and she only waits for her mother to cry because she doesn't think the other person is responsible for her well-being. So we miss out on that communal living when it comes to how we live our lives these days. Yeah. Now, when it comes to marriages and how they are formed and relationships, of course, when we were bringing out, girls were meant to be shy. You're meant to be shy on so many things. A girl. Was it a bad thing? No, it was yeah, both. Both, because sometimes you're supposed to be bold. Yeah. But girls were meant to be shy, so there is no way a girl would wake up and make such a proposal. Yeah, but I believe women is showing interest in men existed even before. It's only the style that changes. Before, a woman could just maybe do so many signs to show somebody that I'm really interested in you. You get it, eh? Without talking even. and somebody would say, I think this lady is communicating something. So it's the style of communication that has changed, that now people are more bold. You can come up and say, I like you. Yeah? But before, because women are meant to be shy, that was the culture before. They were not expected to be that bold. But these days, the training has changed on women, that we train them to be bold. We train them to speak out their feelings. So now that somebody is expected to speak out their feelings, somebody is expected to express themselves, freedom of expression. So why not? Why not also exercise your freedom of expression?
So it's okay.
It's okay. I think it's okay. Yeah, because you might even realize that now it can be the man who is shy. Eh? And now it's the man who is doing the signaling. Eh? And at least one of you has now to be bold and say, Gundi, I think we should go out. What do you think? You get it? Eh? And then the man would say, yeah. Eh? Probably that's what he wanted before, but he was shy to speak it out. So I don't find any problem. It has always been there. It's only the style that changes, the communication style. Yeah. I think the modern way of media and social communications, it has both negatives and positives. Yeah, because before probably you could only learn from your school and your parents, but now before you know it, a child knows a lot that you've not even taught them. They've learned on TV, they've learned on radio, they've learned from other social gatherings. You get it. They've learned so many things, yet which wasn't there before. Before you could only learn. That's why children were even always sent to their aunties. A girl, when you reach about 14 years, you're sent to your auntie to teach you certain things. These days, you don't have to teach a girl anything. Before you know it, she knows everything from social media. You get it, eh? So some of those things now have changed because of media. Eh? Now, a girl growing up, you had to hear certain things new from your auntie. You get it, eh? And that is when you will actually get to know those things. But these days, these things will even attack the girl before she's even of age. From fellow friends, from social media, from the phones they're holding. She gets to know something sometimes she cannot even consume. Because sometimes your brain is still young to consume some of those things. So the culture was before, they would wait for you to reach your age. Probably you're getting married. You get it? And they say, now that this one is getting married, it is time to tell her about sex. Then they would come and start telling you that, do you know that you can have sex? And then you would ask, what is sex? Eh? Then they would tell you that a man is going to enter you, things like that. But now, these days, somebody will learn. I remember my child, Riley. He was in P1, Green Hill. He came back home and asked me, Mommy, what is sex? In P1, primary 1, he came and asked me, Mommy, what is sex? I said, where have you got that? Children were at school talking about it. That a girl, a man, a boy sleeps on a what? A girl. And I told him that that is not for children. I could not now hide it anymore, but I could only now phrase it in a different way, that that is not for children. It is for adults. Children are not supposed to talk about sex or even have sex. You get it, eh? But which wasn't there before. Before, somebody had to be of age to learn some of these things. So social media has, of course, that is now a negative. You get it, eh? Some children will get to know what they're not supposed to know before they are of age, and this can affect their upbringing, can even affect their thinking. You get it, eh? So, but it accelerates knowledge, some knowledge which is good, and some knowledge which is not meant for the children. No, I think to keep culture going on, we have to start from our homes. Yeah, we have to start from our homes. We, now the modern parents and the modern children, should go back and start putting culture in our homes. You get it. For example, at my home, I have a mat. I've just remembered I've never showed my daughter that this mat we are supposed to sit on it. I even have this kawempe. The kawempe is where we used to lay fibers to put food. You get it. But I've never even explained to you guys about it. But I have it. It's now a decoration. I have it as a decoration in my sitting room. I have my mats in the house, but they're just a decoration. When I find a nice mat, I would bring it home, but as a decoration. But I think we should start from home. The greeting, since some of these practices which have no harm, we can start from home. Because if we suggest that, yes, museums are good, but by the time a child reaches a museum, he may not have lost interest in even culture. What is culture? I'm not interested. But if we start from home, you get it, eh? We start bringing back some of these things. That would be good before we even extend it out. But however, if there is also an opportunity where culture can be promoted in organized places, that is okay. That is very okay. Because sometimes you may miss out. These days, parents are so busy. You may miss out on teaching your children these things. Yeah. For example, I hear this thing of Namugga Foundation, where children go in holidays and they teach them culture. They teach them how to peel. They teach them so many cultural things. That's a good organized arrangement. But still, if now this child is taught those things and he comes back home, when he goes to that center, she's taught how to kneel down and greet the parents. Then when she comes home and for you say, my daughter, don't worry, your knees will get spoiled. Then she will lose it out. So it has to be both. It has to be both at home and somewhere else, yeah. In the museum, I think would put so many items that to remember back then, because some of these cultural things they're remembered through certain instruments. Yeah. For example, now if you see that pot, I saw that pot, and I asked Benji, "What is this for?" Then he told me probably it lights in the evening, and I will not be here to wait for it to light. But for us, we grew up knowing that a pot is where you put clean water for drinking. You get it, eh? Sometimes we would even smoke it, and so that water, the drinking water, has a good scent. You get it, eh? I don't remember boiling the water when I was growing up, but at least I knew that in the pot, water was filtrated through the pot, and it was clean for drinking. And there is no way you would bring a dirty cup to put in the pot. There is no way you would expect to get water for washing dishes from the pot. These days it's the fridge, but those days it was the pot. So if a child finds a pot somewhere, then she or he will ask, what is the pot for? So some of those instruments are good if they are put in the museum or those cultural centers, so that they will remember. Otherwise, a child who has grown up getting water from the fridge will never know that a pot is meant for water. So some of those things and others, in case they are put somewhere in a cultural center, and these children can go and be explained on the use of the different instruments we put there, then they can always remember, get to know culture. You get it, eh? Like a mat, like a kawempa I told you about, that it was meant for putting down before you put fiber, then you put matoke. You get it, eh? Then probably they would even have, I have a certain cultural center I've ever visited. I don't remember where it was. It was called Obel what? I'll call my friend and tell you about it. But for them, when you go there, they make sure you have that traditional food. You inform them before you go, like you people, then they will cook. And when you go, you will wash your hands and sit down and start eating that matoke. You get it, eh? So some of those things can also be experienced in a museum and so many other things, yeah. Okay, for me, the quote I would give to all young girls out there, it's very good to embrace your culture. Yeah. Me, I've won so many places, so many hearts, so many good things, friendship and jobs because of my upbringing. You get it, eh? Yeah. And there are certain things I don't find hard to do, and yet they earn you a lot. For example, if you met somebody, especially an elder person or a big person, and you knelt down and greeted them, immediately that perception that person will get from you would be like, oh, mwana na ine mpisa. You get it. Yet it doesn't take away anything from you. You get it, eh? She was talking about kneeling halfway. No, why kneel halfway? If somebody is an elder, eh, and you go all the way and greet them while kneeling, if somebody is probably, it can even be your friend. For example, you people here, if a girl came and knelt down before Benji, now that would be even a communication in one way or the other. That, I think this is the person I've been looking for. You get it, eh? Yeah. You know? And yet sometimes she may just be behaved. Eh? It's a kind of, yes, you're showing that person respect, but you're also showing this person that you're a well-behaved person. You respect other people. You get it, eh? And yet it doesn't take away anything from you. It only gains you respect and probably somebody saying, ah. Now, if that girl knelt down and greeted Benji, even if she has all other bad manners, even if you came and told him that this don't even come near that girl, all what he would perceive in his head is that this guy is lying. This girl who knelt down and greeted me is a really nice girl. So some of those cultural practices that we used to do, or we are carrying forward to teach our children to do, are good to show respect and also earn you a lot from just a small thing you can do. You get it, eh? Yeah, so some of those things are good to carry on. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, so I would really tell the young girls out there to embrace culture. Most of these cultural practices are for the betterment of us. Yeah, they're for the good. There is a lot you gain more than what you lose. I don't remember any cultural practice where I have to lose something. In most cases, you gain something if you practice your culture well. Yeah, so they are good to embrace and carry forward. Yes.